Good morning. Okay, so over the weekend I sat down and I did some thinking about various issues that I have down at the basic. Yeah, one of them is obviously thermostats, where we have these mounted on the wall and an old mechanical type. And basically what happens is that everybody walks past the passage, they have a fiddle with it, and of course the heating goes off over the weekend. The second thing I thought about was the actual door entry system on the kitchen. Now, this has always been wrong. What happens is that for some reason it works in reverse. It's all round the wrong way. So you can't actually set a time on this to lock and unlock. And that's quite a substantial problem, because it means that you have to sort of disengage the power, and then it runs off battery, and the battery runs flat. The timer just never works. It's an old mechanical timer, and the actual logic is all round the wrong way. When it's powered on, it's actually not connected on the magnetic field on the door, and when it's powered down, then the magnetic field connects for some reason. I don't know why that is, but I think that's probably early stages, and of course it's never really been rectified. So I sat down with some hardware which I purchased this is around about £12. This is what they call an ESP8266 with OLED display, and what it looks like is that, and it's I don't know if you can see that too clearly, but you can probably see it just about there. Now what I've got is I've got two LEDs connected to this. One signifies timer on and off, and the other one signifies timer to and off. Now this clock application, basically what it does is it synchronizes with a real-time clock, and you have to log into it to obviously gain access to this. So let's just log in quickly and I'll show you how that actually works. I'm just using a simple set pass at the moment, because obviously I don't want to give away too much. 1, 2, 3, which you can change anytime you like, of course. So I'm just going to do that now. I'm going to log in there, and then we're going to see that the timer screen comes up. Now this is where it really gets clever, because what I've got is I can actually, let's just get that back into focus for you. There we go. That's the timer screen, and it features a real-time clock, and you can actually synchronize this to what they call an NTP server, which basically keeps times all over the world. So it doesn't matter what country you go to, and whatever the case is, you can actually have your clock perfectly synchronized with that of the UK, 3 hours behind or 2 hours behind, or whatever the case is. The features that I've got on it are that obviously you can, let's just reduce the size of that a bit because you don't get to see me anymore. And let's just get that back in. There we go. That's a bit better. So now you can see it a bit clearer. And you've got two choices on this. You can either use what they call TCP/IP, which is basically an Ethernet connection across Wi-Fi, and you can do that by selecting that there. Now you need to obviously configure the TCP/IP. Let's just show you how the synchronized work. The sync works like this. So I can sync it. There you go. It's actually done. It's actually synchronized now. Ooh, hang on a minute. Let's just try another one. Perhaps that doesn't like that. Let's try another one. Sync now. There we go. That's perfectly synced. So it's synchronized to time.nist.gov, which is a NTP server. Now you've got two alarm systems on this. There's alarm 1 and there's alarm 2, which you can set the times on. So I've got 12:43 here. And then you can use TCP/IP or the ESP32 or ESP8266, depending on what you want to use. And then you can configure the TCP/IP. So my IP address on my local network happens to be 0.100, which is what I've got programmed in. It works on port 8080, which is obviously, as we all know, is a web server port, or port 80. And it's got a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. We can save those settings, so it's safe. There we go. That's all been saved here. And now what we can do is I can connect. Now, if you look at the control, which I'm just about to show you in a minute, let's just get this out of the way. So we'll need to reduce the size of this a little bit. Just bear with me while I do that. You don't see that too much now. There we go. And let's just open this up so you can get a better idea of what's going on there. Bingo. Now, right, so when I hold this up here, you will see that it's waiting for a connection. Right? So what I do is I pull this up and I do just that. I connect. In fact, I'm going to push the connect button on the GUI because you're not going to see that way. Hang on a sec, let's just pull that over a bit. There we go. And let's just get that back into progress. Right, so you can see, whoops, I'm trying to work with one camera here, so bloody hard. You can see it says waiting right down the bottom there. In fact, you can see it right about there, down the bottom corner. Let's see if I can get that to more focus for you. There we go. Right, now as I push connect, which I'm going to do now, you will see it hopefully connect. Hopefully, is it connected? No, okay, let's try again. Connect. It's connected. Yes, it's connected. There we go. So it actually tells you that it's connected as well. So it might not connect straight away, but it will connect. And once it's connected, it comes up with 2 alarm systems. There we are. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pull that down a bit so you don't need that. Just the screen so you can see that again. Sorry about all this, but there's a lot fiddling around. It's only because I've got one camera at the moment. I'm trying to do everything with one camera, and it's a little bit difficult to show you everything that's going on. But nevertheless, we shall get that. Right, so let's get that. Let's just reduce that size a bit and increase the size of this. And I can show you what happens here. So, here we go. How's that? That's a bit better, isn't it? Right, so now what I can do is I can set, well, I've got 1246 there. I'm going to set that for 12. We'll make that 48. 48, because by the time I finish trying to do this, it will have done it. 48. And I'll set the time to go off at, say, 12:50. Right, okay. Then I enable the alarm and I set it. Alarm update. Right, so it's updated the alarm. You saw that happening quite nicely. So that'll go off at 12:48. I can then set the second alarm, 12. Let's make that 12. Oops, 12. Or did I say 48? So let's make it 50 and make that go off at 12:51. 52. We'll make it 52. All right. So I can set the time there. That's alarm 2 updated, and I can enable that. Now, whilst we're waiting for this, it should 12:48. We've got a couple of seconds to go. We now sit and watch this, which I'm now going to do now. Just going to get it out of the way. Resize this. Hopefully we should get there just in time. So let's take that down there. Now let's increase that up so you can see that a bit more. Right, there we go. Okay. We're now going to have a look at the unit. There we go. I'm going to watch the unit there. Watch very carefully. Because it's just coming up to 12:48. We've got a couple of seconds to go yet. Oops. Yeah, see alarm 1 showing up. Alarm 2 showing on the actual screen. So if I can get that out of the way. See if I can get that out of the way for you. A minute. Oh, yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay, you can watch. There we go. You've now got a green LED light. In fact, you can see it there. Just see the LED off, and it'll go off in a second. And you can also see on the display itself, it's actually triggered that on and it's updated the display. Now this is all done over the Wi-Fi connection. So you can have a complete list of devices operating on TCP IP with different IP addresses. And with one GUI application, you can actually address as many as you like. And it will send that information to that device, and it will operate either a lock or a fan, or it could operate the heater, turning it on and off, and you can have it set for two times during the day. So you can have one on time, a bit like the timer in the actual hot water supply. You could do very much the same with this. So that's the stage I've got to. I've obviously got to mount it on a decent bit of hardware, printed circuit board, develop the power supply, and check for mains failure so that it switches in the backup battery supply instantaneously. Now we've got the next one set at 1250, I believe. So in a minute you will see the red LED come on and hopefully the green LED go off. That's set at 1250 to go off, which it should do in a minute. It's another 30 seconds. Sorry to keep you all waiting like this, but yeah, these are some of the things that you have to put up with. Go on, hurry up. Start waiting for the death clock, isn't it? Anyway, we're about 10 seconds away now, 15 seconds away. Yeah, 10 seconds to go. T minus 10. Yeah, we'll get there in the end. 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, bingo. And we've got the one gone off, and there's the other alarm that's activated, and that should go off at 52. So you can see it's actually very, very clever. So these would signify the switches for the door entry system, that operated relay, and basically that magnet on the door, or it could be used to switch on and off a boiler, for example. So it's all done across TCP/IP, and on top of that you can also address it serially. So if you had something like a Raspberry Pi sitting right next to this, then you can address it serially. You don't have to address it across the Wi-Fi connection, and it will grab all the data from that through the serial port and activate it that way. So there's 2 or 3 options, and at the moment I'm building a new C++ GUI, which is, I think, far better because it's faster for a start off. It also has a far more error checking capability, whereas Python tends to be a little bit slow. It works on what they call a virtual machine, or basically it's very, very similar to Java. It depends on how it actually runs. So there you go. So there's obviously C++ programming involved in the actual ESP8266 with the built-in OLED display, and it's got 2 different screens waiting for the connection. It tells you what the IP address is, it tells you whether it's waiting, tells you whether it's connected, and also throws the time back onto that screen as well in the yellow heading. So it's actually quite nice. It's a very nice little project, that, and it's going to come into good use, I think, for a lot of people, especially if you've got properties abroad. So you could, for example, allow your client to enter the doorway or refuse door entry from abroad using interactive website, which will be the next step on from this. But at the moment, I thought, let's go GUI, because we want to solve some problems down here. And that is just one of the units of starting the program, or another project I'm starting to work on. Plus, obviously, the digital thermostat, which I think I've probably shown a few people as yet, and I know that there is quite a lot of interest in that too. Thanks very much for watching. Chat later. Hopefully you will be able to get hold of me. I also have some details on there, so if you do want to get hold of me, you can, and you can do that through this menu here. Just get this out of the way. Let's enlarge this up so you can see it a bit more. There we go. Right, let's go there. Let's just plug that back in. Right, so because you don't really want to see me too much, do you, really? Let's get that right out of the way. Let's just move that bigger so you can just get a fair idea. You've got a menu at the top there. So the unit comes with a built-in menu. And if I go to help, help, from here, I go to help, and I go about application, it gives you an idea of what the application is all about. Hang on, let's just get another window up there. For some reason you're not going to quite see that, never mind. 2 secs, and we will sort that out for you as well. Window capture. Okay. Okay. And we want, yep, that's okay. Brilliant. So there we go. It gives you all the help summary there. Yeah. There we go. Just update that. So when you push help, what it's about, it tells you what it is. Dual programming and serial port output system settings persistent, great with Python and Tinker. And then if you go to the next menu, excuse me, just close that down for a minute, and you click on help again. Oops, sorry, beg your pardon. Let's get this up. Yeah. Right, there we go. and we go to help, and about author, it will give you my image, or should do. Don't know why, because it's off that fancy because I've got the name wrong, but it will give you a nice little photograph of me. It will do. Probably you don't want to see that either. Alright, let's just get that sorted out now. And let's just see, let's get the properties right. User admin. There we go. No, don't want that one. Don't want that one. We don't want that one. No, don't want that one. Let's just, I think it's that one, isn't it? Which one is it now? No, capture. That's probably that one. About the author. There we go. Right. Let's just push that right to the top there. There we go. There we go. Nearly there. Nearly there. Sorry about this. Bit technical problem there. Don't want that. Don't want that. Right, that's that setting. Yeah. Okay, we know what that is. No. And that one. Okay, so let's just update quickly. Right, so there is the screen about me. And if you want to get hold of me, you can. You can connect to me on those. These are all links. Those they all work. Every single link works. Checked. That all works as well. But this is only written in Python. I will not be releasing this in Python because obviously the code is quite advanced, and I don't really want that copied just at the moment. So we'll be developing it in C++ instead. Quite simply because it's taken me a long time and it's a lot of hard work, and of course we want to keep some of our stuff in-house as well. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that, and you know, gives you an idea of what I'm busy working on at the moment. Oh well, have a good day. Speak to you soon.